The courtroom was packed. The air felt thick, heavy with judgment. The gallery murmured softly, reporters whispering into microphones while photographers quietly adjusted their lenses. They weren't here to watch a fair trial. They were here for a public execution. Marcus Carter sat at the defense table, his hands folded calmly in front of him. He wasn't restrained, but the way the bailiff hovered nearby made it clear they saw him as a threat. 19 years old, slim, with sharp features and intelligent eyes, Marcus didn't look like a criminal. But the world saw what it wanted to see. A young black man in the wrong place at the wrong time. They assumed that meant guilty. The charges were stacked against him: grand theft, aggravated assault, and obstruction of justice. The penalty? Up to 25 years in prison. Judge Whitmore, a man with more convictions under his belt than compassion, leaned forward on his bench. He looked at Marcus like he was already convicted. "You're sure you want to represent yourself?" the judge asked, his voice laced with condescension. "This isn't a traffic ticket, son. You're playing with your life here." Marcus didn't flinch. "I'm sure, Your Honor," the judge smirked, shaking his head. "Suit yourself. Let's get this over with." The prosecutor, Jonathan Parks, rose smoothly. He was a shark in a suit, confident, seasoned, and well aware the odds were in his favor. He'd won tougher cases than this one with half the evidence. "Ladies and gentlemen of the jury," Parks began, his voice dripping with practiced charm. "The defendant, Marcus Carter, was found running from the scene of a violent robbery. He was in possession of stolen goods. A witness identified him. He resisted arrest. The facts speak for themselves. This is not a mystery." He turned to Marcus, his smile icy. "Frankly, the only thing surprising here is that the defendant thinks he can talk his way out of this." The jury chuckled softly. The judge looked amused. Marcus stood. His voice was calm, but there was an undeniable strength behind it. "You're right, Mr. Parks. This isn't a mystery. The only question is whether this court values the truth more than it values assumptions." The room quieted. Marcus approached the first witness, Mrs. Evelyn Davis. She was an elderly woman, small and kind-looking, though visibly nervous. "You testified that you saw me running from the store," Marcus began gently. "That's correct?" "Yes, I did," she answered. "You were across the street at the time, correct?" "Yes, and it was dark." "Well, a broken bar, yes, but I recognized you. You wear glasses, don't you?" She blinked, caught off guard. "Yes, but you weren't wearing them that night, were you?" Her face reddened. "No, a broken bar I wasn't." Marcus paused, letting the silence sink in. "So, to be clear, you saw someone running from 50 feet away, in the dark, without your glasses?" Mrs. Davis hesitated. "Yeah, broken bar, I think it was you." Marcus nodded. "Thank you, ma'am." No further questions. The jury was visibly unsettled. The eyewitness testimony wasn't as airtight as they'd thought. Next, Marcus turned to Officer Briggs, the man who arrested him. The officer sat with his arms crossed, his expression unreadable. "Officer Briggs, you stated that you found a backpack containing stolen goods near me when you arrested me." "That's correct." Marcus nodded. "Did you see me carrying the bag?" Briggs hesitated. "A broken bar number." "So it wasn't on me?" "No, it was on the ground." "Near me," Marcus repeated, his voice calm but deliberate. "Not on me." Briggs shifted in his seat. "Did you check for fingerprints? DNA? Anything to confirm the bag belonged to me?" Briggs blinked. "A broken bar number. It was found at the scene." Marcus leaned on the witness stand. "So what you're telling this court under oath is that you assumed it was mine?" Briggs didn't answer. He didn't have to. The damage was done. The courtroom was tense now. The jury, once smug and confident in their judgment, was shifting uncomfortably. The prosecutor rose again, his smile a little less steady. "The defendant clearly knows how to twist words," Parks said, his voice strained. "But the evidence is still there. The stolen goods were found near him. That's more than enough for a conviction." Marcus stood, his voice low and clear. "Mr. Parks, are you saying that proximity equals guilt?" Parks frowned. "It certainly implies it." Marcus turned to the jury. "Then I guess we'd better start arresting everyone who walks past the crime scene." The gallery erupted into quiet murmurs. Even the judge's expression shifted, the amusement gone. Marcus took a breath, then turned to the jury one last time. "This case isn't about evidence. It's about assumptions. I was in the wrong place at the wrong time, and because of that, I was labeled a criminal. The witness didn't see me. The backpack wasn't proven to be mine. The officer assumed I was guilty. The prosecutor assumed you would believe him." His voice steadied, powerful now. "How many times has this happened before? How many innocent people were locked away because it was easier to assume they were guilty than to question the facts?" He paused, his voice softer now. "Today, you have a choice. You can let those assumptions ruin a broken bar, or you can demand the truth." The jury deliberated for less than an hour. When they returned, the foreman's voice was steady. "Not guilty." The courtroom exploded with gasps. Parks looked stunned. Marcus didn't move, he only exhaled, slowly, like he'd been holding his breath the entire time. Judge Whitmore taped his gavel, then studied Marcus with a different expression, not condescension, but something closer to respect. "Mr. Carter," he said slowly, "this court owes you an apology. You weren't just innocent. You were the smartest man in the room today." He leaned forward. "And if you ever decide to trade that seat for one at the attorney's table broken bar, you'll make one hell of a lawyer." Marcus smiled for the first time that day. "Thank you, Your Honor," he said quietly. "But I think I just proved I already am." And with that, Marcus Carter walked out of the courtroom not just a free man, but a man who shattered the system's expectations. A man who fought for the broken bar and won.